Happy Easter, and thank you for joining us for our first small group meeting. Small groups, as we will learn, are anything but ordinary. The dictionary defines ordinary as of no special interest, merely normal, unexceptional. But you know what? There are times when that's just what we want. Ordinary, familiar, comfortable. And depending on our personalities, we may want it more in our life than others. Maybe you want that sometimes, maybe a lot. If you're like me, I prefer the ordinary, the familiar, the comfortable routine. And we all have routines, don't we? Sometimes it's the breakfast cereal we eat, and sometimes it's where we sit in church. It's a routine. On the other hand, these routines that we have, some we love, some we don't love. Like homework, or housework, or that daily commute. We've all got routines going on. That's just the way of life. But if you think about it, there's a whole other category too. In fact, there can be entire seasons or segments of life that become ordinary in the way that were never meant to be. They become ordinary in a way that they shouldn't be, in a way that's more than just routine or monotonous. In fact, it's depressing, even oppressive. Maybe ordinary for you is that your job has become to feel like a mistake or you have no future. Maybe ordinary for you is that school's boring, your classes are boring. Even your friends have become boring in the things that they do. Maybe ordinary for you is your relationship with your parents or your siblings. It feels dysfunctional, even broken. Maybe ordinary for you is feeling that you're stuck in your job, in your life, in your marriage. Maybe ordinary, in a very bad way, is the way you feel about church and religion, and by extension, God. You know you believe, sure, but that doesn't really translate into anything. Sometimes you just go through the motions, and not much more. If any or all of this is you, congratulations, you're in exactly the right place. Because Easter is a celebration of so much more than ordinary. You see, when ordinary wasn't working for the world, when the world was caught up in the same old normal goings-on, this endless loop of sin and death and sin and death, God stepped in, and he decided to do something out of the ordinary. So he sent his Son. Jesus Christ is the Son of God who came as man. He was a real man. He lived among us, and he taught us like nobody else had ever taught us before. He had these insights into life that nobody had ever heard before. And he told stories that challenged people to change their assumptions about God and how life works. And he spoke with such authority, and he acted with such power that nobody had ever seen or heard of before. People who were nothing like him, they liked him and they followed him. People who encountered Jesus encountered blessings and miracles, and encountering Jesus was simply a life-changing event. It was astonishing, it was amazing. So, he lived this incredible life. And then he did something more incredible. He allowed himself to be beaten and bruised and nailed to a cross and die an agonizing death for others, for us. And then he did something that had never been done before or since. And Easter, of course, celebrates that, the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. But my friends, even that, incredible as it is, isn't all. For we believe that that same power that raised Jesus from the dead is available to us in our life, for our living. It's available to you and to me. And if you think about it, that's the most extraordinary thing of all. That's the most extraordinary thing ever. Let's look at the 20th chapter of the Gospel written by John, an eyewitness to the first Easter. Scripture says that on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early in the morning while it was still dark, saw the stone had been removed from the tomb. So here's what's happening in this story. Jesus died on Friday afternoon. The Jewish Sabbath begins on Friday evening. So for the pious Jews, that means no work until Sunday. And work would certainly include something like burying a body. So that Jesus' body didn't just hang there on the cross, two of his friends, two guys named Nick and Joe, make some arrangements quickly to bury him at an available tomb nearby. But because of the time constraints, they couldn't go through all the usual rituals. So another friend of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, goes back to the tomb to do it herself the first chance she gets, which is Sunday morning. And that's where we pick up the story. When she gets to the tomb, it's a small cave with a big rock in front of it. But things were not as expected. The rock had been rolled away. She looked inside, the body's gone. She's shocked. She's distressed. She runs to find Jesus' best friends, Peter and John. And when she does, here's what she says. They have taken the Lord from the tomb. We don't know where they have put him. So Mary makes the reasonable, though obviously distressing assumption that the body had been stolen. Peter and John, also distressed and concerned, race to the tomb to check it out. And here's what John tells us. They both ran, but the other disciple ran faster than Peter and arrived at the tomb first. He bent down, and he saw the burial cloths. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb and saw the burial cloths and the cloth that covered his head, not with the cloth, but rolled up in a separate place. Well, we got this massive stone rolled away. We've got a body missing. But what does John focus on? What does he talk about? The cloths. He keeps talking about the cloths. We learn more about the cloth in this story than anything else. What is that about? It's a little curious to see the cloth there at all, but yet neatly stacked and deliberately folded, more curious. And here's something else that's even more curious still. John tells us, speaking of himself, then the other disciple also went in, the one who arrived first, and he saw. He saw? What did he see? Did he see Jesus Christ alive and glorious and risen from the dead, sitting on his throne with cherubims and seraphims and angels and archangels with a band and screens and lights and cameras? Is that what he saw that first Easter Sunday? Not quite. The other disciple went in, the one who arrived first, and he saw and believed. In other words, he didn't see anything. He didn't see anything because there wasn't anything there for him to see except cloth, neatly folded. So if he didn't see anything, what did he believe? This guy John, he saw in this empty tomb, in this dark, cold cave, in this ordinary pile of rags, he saw the power of God. He saw through the ordinary. He saw the extraordinary. My friends, that's faith. And that's what is Easter. That's what Easter is about. It's about the celebration of the most extraordinary event in history. That has power in our ordinary life. And it's exactly what we see happening to John himself. And all of Jesus' other friends, if you keep reading the story in the Bible after Easter. Men and women, simple people, fishermen, started living lives that were dramatically transformed. God started using them in bold, audacious, courageous, outrageous, life-changing, world-changing ways because they chose to live lives in a way that God honors and blesses. By relying upon God's power, the power of Easter can change our lives. The power of Easter can change the ordinary things in our lives that were never meant to be ordinary. The ordinary things in your life that shouldn't be ordinary. If it is only ordinary in your marriage that you don't talk to one another, if you've arrived at a dead end with nothing left to say, The resurrection of Jesus Christ has the power to bring your marriage back to life. And you know, if it happens, the world isn't going to stop turning. Nobody will notice, but you will. You'll see in that ordinary circumstance the extraordinary power of God. If it is only ordinary for you to fight with your parents or your siblings all the time, to never talk, to never have discussions, to never have fun, just fight, the resurrection of Jesus Christ has the power to restore that relationship. And nobody else is going to see it or notice it, but you will. You'll see the power of God. And if it's only ordinary for you to drink too much or to hang out on the internet looking at stuff you shouldn't be looking at, if it's only ordinary for you to eat too much or to use food in a way that's not healthy or to gossip in a way that you shouldn't, the resurrection of Jesus Christ has the power to change your habits and change those hang-ups. And if it's ordinary for you to have a hopeless view of your future or your prospects or even your health, the resurrection of Jesus Christ has the power to change your view, to change your perspective, and to cast hope in your future. If ordinary for you is only about being busy all the time and running around with this crazy, over-the-top schedule that makes you angry and annoyed, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, listen to me, the resurrection of Jesus Christ has the power to change your schedule. And if ordinary for you is only about being alone and lonely and feeling like you're on your own, if ordinary for you is being defined by your mistakes or your past, if ordinary for you is being defined by your divorce, the resurrection of Jesus Christ has the power to change that definition. The resurrection of Jesus Christ has the power to break your isolation. The same extraordinary power that raised Jesus Christ to life is available to you. God is seeking to pour that power into your life because He loves you and He favors you. But you've got to put yourself in a place to receive it. And you just need some very ordinary practices. Like talking to Him every day and turning to Him with your questions and your concerns. And when you finally admit that you don't have all the answers and you really don't know everything, increasingly honor Him. Ask Him to help you with your habits and all your life choices. Also, find a circle of other believers who are going to support and help and encourage you in these choices. It is absolutely a choice, and you absolutely have that choice. You can live your life in a way that is only ordinary, that's not really working, and was never meant to be ordinary anyway. Or you can choose to live your life in a way that God honors and blesses because you're looking to and relying on His power.